Welcome. Today we're going to take a look at SAP Business One Financials module. Just for reference, we're showing SAP Business One 10.0, and I'm going to release patch level 3, I believe. So this is probably the latest version, early 2021. Okay, the financials. Let's take a look. First is the home cockpit. In my home cockpit, I have some financial related KPIs and dashboards here. I have my workbench, financial workbench. So if I need to process an incoming payment, I just click the picture and it opens up that form. If I need to run a report related to incoming payments, my payment drafts report, a transaction journal, and aging, all of those are right here. So this is a real nice way to navigate through financials. I can also get to financials from my drop-down menu and get to all of the financial activities. And then finally, the most common way is simply slide in the main menu, open up financials. And if you do a lot of journal entries, then you can even drag that off the menu and drop that into your common functions on your cockpit. So it's always right there. That way you don't have to go back to the drop-down menu, the sidebar menu. You need to create a journal entry, you just click and you're right there. Okay, so a little bit about the financials. Let's start with the chart of accounts. Business One gives you the ability to have a segmented GL account structure. We'll open this up a little bit. And so for me, when you look at my GL account, you're seeing a natural account, and then you're seeing a division, a department, and a company. Business One, of course, it is a multi-company system. So you can have multiple companies. It's also a multi-branch system. So within a company, you can have multiple branches. Now, remember that term branch. That's important. And you'll see why here in a minute. And so I can create my different segments. I can come in here and create the different companies and everything else, and they have a very complete GL account structure. This is a GAAP compliant accounting system, so you do need to have a GL account. When you install a new database in Business One, it asks you if you want to start with a best business practice chart of account structure, and that's what I'm using right here. This is the default GL account structure from Business One, all easily organized into these file cabinets. Now, we talked about the segmentation of the GL account. Now, Business One also delivers a cost accounting module right here. And in cost accounting, then you have the ability to create 5 different dimensions for use of whatever you want. So for me, I've got a sales region, a district, I've got a gender, a store. Again, these could be anything you want. If you're not dealing with, if you don't need metrics on male or female, then maybe another metric might be item group, something like that. And what this will allow you to do then is it will allow you to run financial reports based on the cost accounting layout in lieu of the GL account structure. And I'll show you that right now. If I want to run a profit and loss statement, then of course, let's say we want to run a monthly P&L for this year. I can narrow down my P&L based on how I have my GL account segmented. That's something that probably everybody can do. Where SAP goes the extra mile is that I can expand this out to my cost accounting system. So now if I wanted to, I could run a one for an item group. Sorry about that. I misspelled group. Run one for an item group, a district, a region, even a project. And then we talk about branches. You can see here that in my database, I've got 12 different branches set up. Well, I'm able to come in here and say, you know what? I just want to run a P&L for my New Orleans branch. And then I'll be off and running. Or of course, we could include all branches. Now, let's go ahead and let's just run a monthly P&L report. So this is the P&L. There's a level indicator here where if you just want to look at the title accounts, you can do that. If we want to look at the subtitle accounts and then the subtitle accounts. Finally, if we want to go down to the posting accounts, in my system, my GL structure goes 4 levels deep. So that's as far as I have to go, but you can actually go 10 levels if you wanted to. Now, I'm looking at my profit and loss statement for the year. I can see year to date up front, and then we get into each fiscal period. This will support a 445, a fiscal calendar, a calendar based on your traditional year, fiscal year, whatever you want. We've got one client that has 52 periods, one for each week. So it's very flexible on these periods and how they're set up. But what I wanted to mention is that I can also drill down. So if I want to drill down into my revenue account, then with one click, I'm looking at my revenue account where I can see the balance. And then one more click, I'm looking at all of the detail that made up my profit and loss report. Now, if I see something in here, let's say here's something for $639.40. I want to find out more about that. Well, then I can drill down into the journal entry. Here I can see the journal that was created by the transaction. And I want to drill down deeper and look at the transaction that created this journal entry. In this case here, it is an AR invoice. Now, if I want to look at the entire workflow with one click, we can look at the relationship map, and that's going to tell us an entire story. Even though we're looking at an AR invoice, I can see that this started way back here with a sales order. We needed to create a purchase order of goods that we received. We haven't paid our supplier yet. We did require a down payment from our customer, which they paid. We then delivered our customer the products, and then we created a final AR invoice minus the down payment. And so all of this we got to by simply drilling down from our profit and loss report. So all the financial reports work that way. You'll be able to drill down into whatever level of detail you want. But this is what the chart of accounts looks like, and the ability to also leverage the cost accounting module inside of Business One, and where you've got those 5 tree trunks or dimensions, and then you've got the unlimited branches or the cost centers. So all of that works really good. Now, besides the chart of accounts, other things in here is the ability to do a journal entry, or using your VCR keys up here, you can bring up the last journal entry that was done. So here I can see this looked like a store expense. And then I can go backwards and forwards and look at all of the journal entries that might show up in general ledger. And keep in mind that 99% of these journal entries are all automated. You don't have to do a thing. Part of the setup of the financials is going in and setting up the GL account determination. Now, this are all the GL accounts that would get used in a sales process or in a procurement process, of just some general information, inventory process, and so forth. And then you have some advanced rules here where you can create unique rules. In this example here, I have a rule that says anytime I sell any item that's in my printer's item group for all countries, customers, states, types of business partners, instead of using the default revenue account, use this one instead. And if we drill down and take a look at it, we can see it's for a specific line of printers. So this gives you a lot of neat flexibility. So the end user never really has to enter a GL account number. All of that's been predetermined ahead of time. And there's more on this. If you look at the the administration demonstration, we'll go through more of that in detail. So let's go back into finance. We've got our chart of accounts, ability to do journal entries. We can also do journal vouchers. Now, a journal voucher is a journal entry that's not posted. It's an unposted journal entry. So some companies might require a 2-step entry. And so what I'm able to do here is I'm able to add a journal entry. So for example, we're going to take a checking account, and then what we're going to do is we're going to offset that with some travel advances. So a checking account, what we want to do there, we're going to decrease our checking account by $100. And then we'll increase our expense account by $100. So here I'm putting in a journal entry, but it's actually a journal voucher. So if I add this journal entry is sitting right here. It didn't actually post. So if I go in and I look at my journal entries here, and we go to the last journal entry, you can see that's still the last journal entry. That's not the one we just entered. So this gives your accounting department a place to park journal entries before you actually are ready to post them. And so if I want to review my journal entry, I can look at it, make changes to it, which is really nice, add any notes or any other information that I need to do. And then when I'm ready, I can go ahead and I can post the voucher. And when I go ahead and select post the voucher, Now that copied that journal entry. And if we look at our last journal entry, there it is. So you've got the ability to have a sandbox where you can let some folks start building journal entries, but maybe they require approval. We also have the ability to use posting templates. Posting templates are a fantastic way to do a GL allocation. Here's an example where I'll get a marketing expense, and I want 100% of that expense to come out of my checking account, but then I want to debit a couple of other accounts. Now, these could be different accounts in companies. They could be different GL accounts across multiple departments, however we want to do it. But the amount's going to vary each time, but the percentages stay static. So the way that this would work is we would go into a journal entry and we would select a template, and we'll go ahead and select our marketing expense template. Here it is. We'll select that. Here you can see how it loads it in. And all I have to do is key in the amount that I want to disperse. $1,200 was my marketing expense. And here you can see how it divided it evenly. And then we can go ahead and add that transaction. So that gives you the ability to also use and reuse templates. There's a way to process reoccurring postings as well. So we can put in any kind of reoccurring posting that might need to take place, and we can then process those. There's reversing transactions. Right now, I don't have any transactions that need to be reversed, but that'll reverse any reversing transactions. Exchange rate differences. This is a report that will show us any kind of exchange rate differences in our GL accounts because this is a multi-currency system. So we're able to do that and then look at those conversion differences. Business One will handle all of the 1099s. It'll print the 1099 forms. And then it comes with a ton of financial reports that work out of the box. So you've got all your accounting reports, your general ledger, your agings, receivables, payables, transaction journal report for all your GL transactions within a date range, or you could narrow it down to a certain subledger. So if you're only wanted to look at all GL transactions related to, say, work in process or related to maybe checks for payment or post-dated deposits, you're able to do that quickly and easily. I won't go through all these reports, but all of the tax reports are here as well. The ability to generate your tax reports either by jurisdiction or by state for whatever time frame you want, and include tax on these documents, the ability to manage use tax, and then we can print a tax code on a separate page and use this towards our tax reporting requirements for the government. So you've got that in here. Then you've got all your financial reports. So we've got a balance sheet, a trial balance, profit and loss we just ran. You've got your cash flow, statement of cash flows, cash flow forecast. I'll just bring this up here. This particular cash flow forecast is running real time because this is a real-time accounting system. You don't have to wait till the end of the period. This is very tailorable as well to determine what do you want to include in your cash forecast. And then also, are there any additional criteria? Like, do you want to include any blanket agreements, any kind of reoccurring transactions? Do you want to consider delays in payments? And I'll expand this here, but this will give you a good idea of what your cash position will be over time, and then all of the details below. And then, of course, you can drill down, look at the details, or export this report. So all of this is in the financials. It all begins to work. There's no setup to any of these reports. They begin to work as you begin to use the system. And then we have some comparison reports where we can do a balance sheet, trial balance, profit and loss comparison to this quarter last year compared to this quarter this year, those types of things. And then, of course, you've got full budgeting inside of SAP, the ability to run a budget report, a budget balance sheet, a budget trial balance, and a budget P&L. So these are all standard reports out of the box that you get with the financials. Now, I mentioned this is a real-time system. Oh, let me back up a bit too. You also get a full fixed assets module. So what SAP is going to do, it's going to keep track of all of your assets and all of the depreciation behind those assets and I'll go ahead and do a depreciation run, and this will update my assets automatically, and it will book that to general ledger. So if I want to do a depreciation run, this will give me a preview of what needs to post, and then I can execute this, and all of my asset depreciation is booked to general ledger real time. Of course, we mentioned budgeting, the ability to set up budgets. Now, for 2021, I actually have 8 different budgets. You can budget at the cost accounting level. So if you want to budget at a department or at any level of cost accounting, you can also budget down to that level. I've got 8 different budgets. So what that means then is when I go to run a financial report, and let's say maybe I want to run a budget report, then it's going to ask me, what budget scenario do you want to compare your actuals to? So all of this, including finance at a glance, all of this is available out of the financials. Now, I think I just clicked the wrong button here. I clicked an OK on finance at a glance. Let me open this up again. I'll keep my hands off the keyboard. But here you can see finance at a glance is really focused around collections. And so I'm able to see my AR aging. I'm able to see how much of unpaid AR is holding up gross profit. What's the line total of that unpaid AR and the price of that unpaid AR. So that's a quick look at financials. The last thing I want to show you is the real time, the timeliness of those financials. To illustrate that, what we're going to do is real quickly, we're going to follow all of the finance transactions as we go through this. Now, I'm putting in a purchase order for some items, but I want you to keep in mind that a purchase order can be created a number of different ways. And one of those ways is through material requirements planning. Purchase orders can also be created through a sales order. But we're going to go ahead and hand enter a purchase order, and we're going to enter it. Here's our PO. Now, if we look at the accounting tab, you can see there's no drill down because there is no journal entry made with a purchase order. Purchase order is simply a contract to buy. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to take a shortcut here real quick. Normally, I'd use a different receiving process. We're just going to copy this PO directly into a goods receipt, and then we're going to add our goods receipt. Now, with the goods receipt added, now you can see we have a drill down. And if we take a look at this, here we can see the credit to my accrual account and then the debit to my finished goods inventory account. Again, not once do we ever have to put in a GL account. So the system knows what GL accounts to use. Now we'll take this one step further and we're going to do a 3-way match. We'll copy our PO, our goods receipt, into an AP invoice. Again, I'm taking a shortcut through this process. This isn't the normal process we would go through. I'm just trying to create these documents as quickly as I can to show you the accounting behind them. So let's go, oh, before we add our AP, let's make a change. Instead of 736, let's say this came in at $738. A little bit more than what we had thought. And let's go ahead and let's add our AP invoice. Now, this is an example where this AP invoice requires an approval. This is where you can set up your best business practices that will require somebody's electronic signature on this document. And this is what it looks like when you trigger an approval process. Now, what we're going to do real quickly here is we're going to jump into the administration module. And we actually covered the approval templates pretty well in the administration module section on a previous recording. I'm going to unactivate the AP approval just so we could get this thing to post and we can look at the GL transaction. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're posting the AP. Let's look at the accounting tab. We'll drill down into the journal entry. Here's the $2 difference, put back into finished goods. We see it debiting our accrual account and then finally crediting our supplier with the money we owe. We didn't go through any batch processes. All of that was real time. And if we go into finance, we go into journal entry and we go to the last journal, here you can see the journal ledger transactions that I just showed you here They're all sitting in general ledger. They've already been posted, and everything is real time within the finance system. And so there are no batch updates. Now, the good news is that you can run your financial reports at any point in time. You don't have to wait till the end of the period. And a lot of people think, well, what if I make a mistake? What if I don't want that AP to be posted and it's too late? I already posted it. Not a big deal. With one click, you can cancel the AP and then you can duplicate it and fix any problem you might have. Since Business One is GAAP and IFRS compliant, you'll have a full audit trail. Speaking of an audit trail, if I come in here and let's say I change the due date from 5/13 to 6/13, and I'm going to go ahead and select update here. Now, when I do that, SAP captured that change. If we look at the change log here, it shows who put in the AP invoice and when, and then who last changed that AP invoice. If I look at show differences, this shows me the previous value and the current new value. Then also, if I want to see what did the AP look like before it was changed compared to after, here's the before picture with the date of 5/13. Here's the after with the new date. So you have full auditing capabilities, full change control within all of your financials. Now, their financials are also in some of the other areas of the system. One of those is on the receivable side. So you can hand enter an AR invoice. We can bring AR invoices in from third-party products like e-commerce systems and those kinds of things. If I want to create an AR invoice, then I'm able to come out here and look at all uninvoiced deliveries for a customer. And then I can choose those. And when I do that, that brings in my AR invoice for me. And then I just simply add it and we've got an AR invoice. What a lot of our clients will do is they will use the document generation wizard. And what the document generation wizard does is it will take all of your shipments that haven't been invoiced yet and automatically turn those into AR invoices. Then with the tool set in Business One, we can also mass email, mass deliver all of those AR invoices. And so they can be emailed, they can be faxed, emailed and faxed, printed, whatever you want to do. But we can mass email all your customers their invoices at the time the invoice is created or maybe scheduled at some point during the day. So that's how your AR invoices are created. On the AP side, we typically will do a three-way match. If you've got a purchase order, you saw me go through the PO flow, we entered a purchase order, we received the goods, and then we copied that into an AP invoice. Normally, what will happen is you will get a invoice from somebody several weeks, after you've purchased something. Let me bring up Acme Associates. Here's an example. And this is where the copy from, copy to buttons are really, really nice. So I can say, show me all of my uninvoiced receipts from Acme Associates, and there they are. Now, if I want to pay for all of these, I'll just go ahead and select those, and it'll bring all of those into a wizard where I can pick and choose, are these all of the items that we're going to pay for at the quantities? And then if I select yes, this will then fill out my AP invoice for me. So this is an example of doing a three-way match. We're matching against our goods receipts, which came in against our purchase orders. But keep in mind, that's not the only way to do it. You don't have to do a three-way match if you don't want to. You can simply come in here and start filling out an AP invoice for whatever supplier you want to pay. You can use item-based system. Now, an item-based system is going to be used for physical inventory, items that you might sell and resell, but it can also be used for non-inventory items like services. So if I'm an engineering company and I'm doing some engineering services on mechanical, electrical, and structural, then I could go ahead and select those non-inventory items, put in the amount of hours that I spent on each one of these, and now I've hand entered an AP invoice. Also keep in mind that we do project accounting in Business One. So if there's a project we want to tie this AP invoice to, this might be part of a transportation project or something we're working on, then we're also able to tie it to that particular project. So that's how we can do our invoice creation. Lastly, then, is the banking module inside of financials. And this is where we do our incoming payments, our outgoing payments, and then our reconciliation process. The way the reconciliation process works is your bank statements come in, they're imported or brought in automatically through our banking process, and you'll see your unprocessed statement here. And then with the reconciliation process, we can go into fully automatic reconciliation, and it'll then match your bank statement to the transactions in Business One. And it really makes for a simple reconciliation process. Of course, you can also do it old school. You can come in here and let's say if I want to reconcile my checking account, my ending balance was $123,435. I can go ahead and put that amount in here. The date ending is on my statement, we'll say is 4/28. And then we'll bring this up. And then I can just simply look at my bank statement and say, yep, that's there, that's there. Yep, these are there. And I can reconcile that way as well. So you've got a number of different ways to do your reconciliation. You've got the ability to reconcile from a fully automated perspective all the way down to full manual reconciliation if you want to do that. The payment wizard is where we do our payment processing. And so on the payment wizard, I can start a new payment run. I can say, what do we want to do? Are we going to do outgoing checks? Are we going to do outgoing wire transfers, bank transfers? What this will do is this will create a file for the bank. And we send the bank that file, then the bank cuts all our checks for us, does all of that stuff, but we've got them logged as being paid inside of Business One. So there's a very formal process to handle your payments in mass mode. Other things in finance, you'll find that other modules will touch finance in one way or another. For example, the inventory module. If we go in and we do a miscellaneous receipt or issue, that's going to create a journal entry. If we transfer inventory, that's going to create a journal entry. And then, of course, any cycle counting adjustments will create journal entries. The last thing I want to mention is from a costing perspective. When we bring up an item on the inventory tab, you determine how this item is costed. In this case here, this happens to be a batch processed or a batch tracked item. Therefore, my costing method is actual by batch. Now, let me duplicate this item and show you the different options. You have a moving average, standard, FIFO, or actual by serial or batch. So we'll support all these different cost methods, and each item can be a unique cost method. That's a quick overview of the financials. Hopefully you've gotten something out of this demonstration. I will leave with one final topic here. That is, we ran a profit and loss statement. We ran the cash flow analysis. So we have run a couple of finance reports. There's probably 30 or 40 financial related reports in Business One, but there's also the ability to create financial reports with nothing more than a mouse. And I'll give you an example. This is called interactive analytics. This is part of the core package. And I want to generate a financial report that shows my profitability. So when I click on profitability analysis, this actually opens up a spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet is directly connected to my database. If I choose to see my gross profit, this is up to the second information. Remember, this is a real-time accounting system, so we're not waiting for a period end to do this. We can do this at any time and see up to the second results. Now, I might want to look at my profitability by business partner or by customer. And so now I can see which one of my customers are the most profitable. I'm going to add one more field in here. I want to see this over time on a period by period basis. I'm going to change the axis of my period so I can see this horizontally. And now I'm looking at a time-phased profitability report. This is where I can add in my own columns, create additional charts and graphs. And then if I want to, I can save this report. I can throw it out there on my desktop. And then the next time I open up this report, it'll ask me, Mike, do you want to refresh the data? And I've got a new permanent report for my financial staff. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration.